All right, let's talk about the Krebs cycle. So I know we covered part of this at least, but the Krebs cycle is also called the citric acid cycle. It's going to break down the pyruvates to make ATP, NADH, and FADH2. And the ATP is just going to be used by the cell. The NADH and the FADH2 are going to go to the electron transport chain. Krebs cycle happens in the mitochondria, and it's anaerobic. So remember, it doesn't use oxygen. Here's the acetyl-CoA reaction. So the acetyl-CoA reaction starts with a pyruvic acid. One carbon leaves as CO2, and then an NAD positive comes in, picks up its 2 electrons and its hydrogen ion, and leaves as NADH. And the NADH is going to go to the electron transport chain. Then coenzyme A will take the 2-carbon molecule that's left and add it to a 4-carbon molecule that's already in the cycle. So here this 4-carbon molecule came up, and it's already in the cycle, and that coenzyme A is going to add those two together. And this whole thing is called the acetyl-CoA reaction. When we add what? It's on the paper. The 2-carbon molecule and the 4-carbon molecule make a 6-carbon molecule called citric acid. And that's why this is called the citric acid cycle. Okay, so you should be able to follow the arrows for this. So the next thing that's going to happen is 1 carbon will leave as CO2. Another NAD positive comes in, picks up a hydrogen ion and 2 electrons and leaves as NADH. And if you have 6 carbons and 1 left, you have 5 carbons remaining. Then another carbon leaves as CO2. NAD positive comes in, picks up a hydrogen ion and 2 electrons, leaves as NADH. And for this one, an ADP will come in and pick up energy in its phosphate group that it uses to store the energy in that bond and leaves as ATP. FAD comes in, picks up its 2 electrons and 2 hydrogen ions and leaves as FADH2. And then NAD positive comes in, picks up its stuff and leaves as NADH. And we're right back to where we started. So for each turn of the Krebs cycle, you get 1 ATP, 4 NADH, and 1 FADH2. Remember, we started with 1 pyruvic acid, and you get 2 pyruvic acids for each molecule of glucose. So for each molecule of glucose, the Krebs cycle goes around twice, 1 for each pyruvic acid. So for each molecule of glucose, the Krebs cycle will give you 2 ATP, 8 NADH, and 2 FADH2. Questions?